Give it your all. 110%. What's up, guys? Alfonso here. We are to do a breakdown and review of chapter 241 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as Idiot Survivor. Move on up. Moving on up. I'll give credit. I'll give credit where it's due. It is another Idiot Survivor, but the name is changing. So, like, Idiot Survivor is the prefix, and then we're getting new names after that. So, I'm gonna clap it up for Gege, because usually he's like, it's not, lazy is the wrong word. Lazy is the wrong word. Obviously, most people don't even remember chapter title names. Like, I don't usually remember chapter title names, but just the battle in the demon infested Shinjuku part 11,346 was grinding my gears a little bit. So I'm happy we do, in fact, have a new name. But enough of new names, enough of new pain. Let's get into old games with the main man, Takaba Fumihiko. Editing me, I summon thee. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? Alfonso here. Fun fact. I have it on me, and I keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact: never give up. Actually, see, I don't want to say never. I don't want to say never. Sometimes you gotta give up. Sometimes you gotta give up for the sake of your own mental health and well-being and physical well-being and all that. But never give up. Always try. And whatever the path you walk down feels like it may be steeped in darkness, walk forward. Because remember, the greater the darkness, the brighter. I couldn't even get the Kingdom Hearts quote right. The greater the darkness, the brighter. Can I not say brighter? The greater the darkness, the brighter the light that casts said shadow. Jeez! I don't even think that's the proper quote. What happened to me? But let's actually not waste any more time. Let's hop into chapter 241. So we open up and we do get to see that we are now back in time. Though admittedly, this is very interesting. I wonder if, like, Takaba actually manifested this entire chapter mentally, because you'll notice throughout the entire chapter, despite us spending a lot of time in flashback, we spend, like, no time with black paneling. Like, the entire chapter still has basic white paneling, which makes me wonder, is Takaba, through his ability, subconsciously, like, reliving a past portion of his life? I know it seems like such a weird thing, but Gege, he does it. He does it. Whenever we usually have flashbacks, the paneling's black. Like, and then he'll fade out of the black paneling and go back to regular paneling. I don't know. It was a weird detail that caught me off guard. And the live reaction, we can check it over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or become a member for as little as $3 a month to get the live reaction to this chapter. It's about a solid, beefy 32 minutes. So if you want that, go down below if you can. I appreciate any support. But with that being the case, we are back in time at an average university. And we see that this is not just any average university. It is the average university of the soon-to-be new strongest sorcerer, Takaba Fumihiko, as Takaba is on the path towards becoming a comedian. And, of course, Takaba, I feel like we've all had it before. We've all had that one scenario, that one thing that we are super 100% down and passionate for, whether it be a certain sport, whether it be a certain activity, whether it be a certain field of creation, from content to art to anything. We've all had that thing that we are really down and diabolical, ready to do, ready to give our all to, but we can't do it alone. We need somebody else there with us. But unfortunately, that other person is just not as locked in. They're there, and obviously, time is a valuable thing. You'll appreciate any time of somebody else's you can get. But when they ain't there, you can't use any time. In fact, you're losing time that you could be using somewhere else. So Takaba is not all too happy. Don't mind Takaba's voice that I'm about to give him. It's for the greater good. You're late. You don't even write the set. I swear I can read. You don't even help write the set. Why the heck are you the late one? We're running out of time before our next show. Takaba, you can tell he is a bit nettled over the fact that his homeboy is wasting his time. And once again, I do genuinely understand that feeling a bit. Like, your boy used to do musicals, used to act, used to do a whole bunch of stuff. And it was annoying. Don't get me wrong. It was annoying whenever somebody would show up late. And to this day, even beyond the scope of just like acting or any musical stuff, it is annoying when you have that one friend that you love the ground they walk on. You would do almost anything for them, but for an actual factual, they are consistent beyond a shadow of a doubt, at all times, whether it be late in the day, early in the morning, or somewhere in between, they are late. They are just late. And that friend, no matter, like, literally, the stars would align, the heavens would unite, and pigs, dogs, cats, and every other animal that does not have wings would suddenly spontaneously gain the ability to fly before they were actually on time. We all have that one friend. And if y'all are like me and my friend group, you know how to manipulate. This sounds bad. Manipulate is always a bad word, but it is true. The one friend I'm thinking of when I make this reference is a guy we literally need to tell that the event is 2 hours earlier. We need to tell him that. If we do not tell him that the event is 2 hours before it, he may show up 3 hours late. It is a nightmare trying to do anything with that guy if it's long distance. If it's like we're just hanging out, then fine, whatever. He can show up 3 hours late. But when we're trying to coordinate going somewhere, the plane leaves at 1. We can't have you showing up at 3. So there have been times where we've had to just gaslight and be like, oh yeah, be there by 9 a.m. Show don't start till 12. Oh yeah, movie's at 7. Movie don't start till 10. We've had to do it. I don't think I'm alone in that. I feel like everyone's had to do it once or twice. So I understand Takaba's fury here, where he's just sick and tired of it, right? He's sick and tired of this guy consistently showing up late, especially for a guy who's just there to be there, right? Like, it would be one thing if this guy was a script writer, if he was there to help in other way, shape, or form, or something like that. But no, he's just there to be a body fill-in. And sure, don't get me wrong, I've also been a person who's late. So I understand that fear. And I've also been a person who's been disinterested in certain things, but doing things with my homies because they're my homies, right? Like, sure, you went to X anime movie with me. I know you could not care less, but you were kind enough to not let me go alone. Thus, you came with, and vice versa. So I understand both sides here, but I understand Takaba's fury a lot because, it happens. And of course, the homie gives the natural homie response of like, my bad, my fault, OG, my fault. I ain't really gonna do you like that. But yeah, you can tell this guy, whoever he is, he doesn't get a name. None of the characters in this chapter get names, except for obviously Takaba and Kenjaku. But he's just like, hey, bro, it be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that. My fault, OG. And we see the reason Takaba, he's just so nettled. You see he's even dripping sweat on both sides of his face, built just like Yuta Okotsu. He is not surprised, he's just annoyed. It's the same thing that happens, just on a different day. And that is, once again, it is a bit annoying. It is a bit annoying, but you gotta work around that. You gotta be able to work around that. After, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, can't be fooled again. I think, is that a quote? I have no idea. I need to reference like a whole quote book so I can actually quote things correctly. But with that being the case, Takaba, unfortunately, he did not feel like adapting. And he's just like, fine, whatever. Just here, you smell like juice, and it's not the good juice, so let's just start. Forget about it. And we see that Takaba starts to drop some bars. I don't have bars. Yo, species, non-native, food, cooking, vegetative, meat, putting something in. Oh, wait, let me not make. I was about to make. Oh, wait, no. The word was sedative. Fill in the rest. But with that being the case, while Taka was dropping bars, his homie's like, wait a minute. Hold on. Brain blast. And he was like, wait, this is the rapper bit, right? And here's the thing. I'll admit, this may be a problem this guy just had. Though admittedly, he is obviously smaller the juice, and the juice implies certain things. That means his cognitive functions may be lacking, not just due to his own natural ineptitude at the moment, but also external factors such as. But whenever I had to memorize scripts in the past for a play or a song or anything like that, your boy struggled with it too, especially if it was like a multi-sequence thing. My brain would sometimes be like, hey, this scene, this line, let's put it over here. My brain would glitch out. So I can't blame him for that, but it's clear that they've practiced this multiple times. Like, he should know a little bit better. You can see the difference in passion, right? Takaba, he's all into it. He's throwing up the hand signs. He better activate a hollow purple. Meanwhile, Broski over there is like, I mean, it is this thing, right? Like if I'm speaking properly, if I'm analyzing this correctly, this is in fact the rapper bit, correct? But with that being the case, we do get to see that obviously, even with remembering the whole rapper bit, like it doesn't mean anything. Takaba even mentions, really, not ringing a bell. And his homie does apologize. Like, hey, broski, my bad. But you can see a pattern here. He says, my bad, my bad. Like, he don't really care. And like, here's my thing, right? I definitely understand, especially when you can get no one else to do it. You go to the person who's willing, right? That's kind of all you can do in certain scenarios. You always got to go to the person who's actually willing to help you out with something, actually willing to help you do anything. Because, hey, you need help, you need help. But at the same time, like, I think sometimes you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Like, you can clearly tell. Takaba should have known, from the repeated lateness to the smelling of the juice to the nothing. Like, Takaba yells at him saying, you don't care at all, do you? And of course, his homie, not wanting to hurt Takaba's feelings or anything, is like, I mean, I do. And then we see Takaba being like, then really apologize. None of this my bad nonsense. Say I'm sorry. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of a scenario that's equivalent to this. But admittedly, just because I don't really have the patience for it, if I can tell someone doesn't care about what I'm trying to do, I'll just leave it. Like, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste my time. It's a law of equivalent exchange kind of thing. Time is the one thing you can't get back, no matter how hard you try. Unless one of y'all's a Time Lord, or one of y'all's Doctor Strange and got access to the Time Stone, you don't get time back. It's just something you don't do. And thusly, if someone doesn't necessarily feel the same passion you do, either A, find someone else who does, or B, figure out how to do it alone. It'd be like that. When it be like that, especially when it be like that. So I get why Takaba was mad, because this is probably his only friend that's actually willing to do it. And from what we find out later in the chapter, this could hypothetically be his literal only friend. But I don't know, man. Especially if it is his only friend, yelling at him isn't really going to do much. And it's clear that this just isn't his passion. And it's not wrong for people to not be passionate about the same things that you're passionate about. Like, dog, I have a decent amount of friends, acquaintances, whatever. I don't think you could combine all of them, and they wouldn't be anywhere near obsessed with Kingdom Hearts as I am. Not at all. Nowhere near. And thusly, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to suddenly be like, hey, it's time to talk about Kingdom Hearts, because I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts no matter what. If I can tell they aren't interested, I leave them be. So I get Takaba, he needs a buddy for his comedy routine, but go solo. He even reveals that he goes solo later in the chapter. But once again, this is college age Takaba, right? And trust me, I remember my college and high school days. Logical thought was not a very common thing that happened back then. And of course, we see his homies had enough, right? Like, especially considering he's off the juice right now. He's got a whole bunch of nerve and confidence. He's like, you're the one setting an example of how to be a complete antisocial idiot. And of course, Taka was like, what? Me? Do you not see my hairstyle? How am I antisocial? And his homie explains, you don't come out to take a little bit of the juice with us. You don't even laugh at other comic sets from the stage wings. And Takaba brings up a pretty valid idea that I'll laugh if it's funny. And here's the thing, right? I give credit to everyone who wants to be a comedian. Like a full good comedian. And I give extra credit to those who are good comedians. Because, like, I don't know what funny is. I really don't. If you couldn't tell by being on my channel for any extended period of time, or even just 2 videos, my humor level, my like humor grading system, non-existent. My standards through the dirt. They're probably on the other side of the planet. That's how low my standards are when it comes to humor and stuff like that. So personally, I don't understand it, but at the same time, as a person who understands in general ideas, I can't necessarily empathize with it because I don't know, I'm very non-judgmental just in general as a human being. But with that being the case, I can understand. I've seen people who are masters in their field witness another person in their field doing something and then being critical of it. Like, oh, they're doing that poorly. They're doing this wrong, that wrong, that wrong, that wrong, that wrong. Like, heavens forbid you go see a play with someone who's majored in theater. I do it all the time because actually it's kind of funny. But like, they will break down every mistake. They will tell you that wasn't supposed to go that way. That was because usually they've seen the play already, they've acted the play already, or they have the script and have somehow memorized it already. They will literally go through the entire play and be like, that was a stage mistake, she missed a step, blah, 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 and they will break it all the way down. And I respect it because the passion is there. You know that they know what they're talking about. And Takaba, it's hard. Here's the thing. It's hard to say he does, but you can tell he's passionate about it, right? Because he doesn't find it funny. And humor is very subjective. I've gone to comedy shows before, and I've gone to comedy shows where I've laughed my head off, and I've gone to comedy shows where I'm like, I really spent my real human dollars on this. I'm not getting this hour and a half back. So like I've had both experiences, don't get me wrong, even with my through the ground quality of humor. And with that being the case, I'm not ever going to say that the comics that I didn't enjoy were bad. People always laugh wherever I went. But talk about being a bit harsh on other comics when he himself can't even seem to keep a homie that's down to be a comic. I don't know, Bucko, have you ever looked internally? Have you ever flipped it around? Have you ever stared in the... Have you ever looked for that man in the mirror? I'm thinking you should change your ways. But, of course, we see that his friend explains that ultimately, sure, he's late. Sure, he's off the juice. And sure, he doesn't remember nothing about these whack behind comedy skits. But, hey, dude, it's thanks to me that our upper class... They're both surfer dudes. Hey, dude, it's thanks to me that our upperclassmen leave us alone to do our own thing. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here, broski. And, like, I wish I could not believe him. But I actually buy that. Is that bad? I genuinely do buy that. I 100% believe that ultimately he's probably the reason Takaba has any social standing or friends. Especially considering what is referenced later on in the chapter of his loneliness. Like, yeah, probably is the case. Though really, I don't know. Just because of how I'm small. I'm like 3 feet tall and 40 pounds soaking wet. So thusly, I like slid under the sight lines and like even the hand lines of any sort of bully. So I've never experienced it, thankfully enough, and I'm grateful for that. But like, were college upperclassmen really like bullying like that? Then again, who knows? This is a different era. Like Takaba's in his 30s now, and the manga takes place in 2018. So 30 years. Let's say Takaba graduated college at 22. Then, if he's in his 30s, plural, let's say this is 18, and has upperclassmen. Let's say he's a junior. That would have been, I can't even think though. Like, I don't know. But still, I can kind of understand it. Just the social standing kind of thing. Even if it's being left alone and not just necessarily being bullied, it's being allowed to have a classroom or stuff like that and not have an open space, have an open forum. I understand how important this guy's role is, even though Takaba doesn't really see it because he sees the lack of dedication, the lack of passion, the lack of care. And we see that Takaba, realizing that he's essentially being devalued, he's like, so what are you saying, dude? Go out hitting the juice all night, and show up to practice, overhung, all for my sake. And his homie, once again, I hate to say it, maybe don't be blunt, because, wording is everything. Wording is how you phrase things can fundamentally change the outcome of your life. Like, especially since humans are not just social creatures, we're vocal creatures most of the time. There's some people who are mute and thus they cannot speak. But even then, communication matters. Even in things like sign language, how aggressively, you can tell if someone's aggressively using sign language at you versus when they're just casually using sign language at you. The intent and communication behind your words matters. So what I'm gonna say is, do this. Be honest with your friends if you don't really care and you think that's hampering both you and them. Be gentle about it. Be nice. These are still your friends. Don't be mean. But there are scenarios where I've been in where it's like, hey, broski, trying to help you out. Could not care less though. Please. I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to ask you to find somebody else, no matter how hard I try. Because once again, it goes back to you'll never get the time back. And I feel like I'm not helping you. I'm not doing you a service. In fact, I'm doing you a disservice because I'm wasting your time. The time that you spent trying to get me on the same boat as you in terms of the investment could be much better spent if you just found somebody else to do it. Which sounds bad, but hey, you got to be honest sometimes. And this guy, he's being honest about the relative positioning of both of them. And we see that Takaba, he gets a little bit nettled as he says, We don't even perform twice a year, and when we do, it's all overdone, out-of-date material. Yet every time you open your mouth, it's just a yap. Sorry, it's just a yap about which chick on the staff you're becoming better friends with, or about what mysterious connections you have in the biz. You think cozying up to some schmuck who could get insta-slain by Ujishima the loan shark will magically make you funny? Use your darn brain! Now, I see both sides of it, right? Don't get me wrong. I see both sides of it. Though I will admit, don't put your hands on people. Once again, I'm a little guy, 2'8", 10 pounds, soaking wet. But like, don't grab people. Like even if they, and I get it. Once again, it's okay to have emotions. It's definitely okay to get angry, get annoyed, not be happy with the certain state of things in the world. I get that. But like, I don't want to, you can, there's always a better way. You can always communicate. Unless you can. There are times where I will admit you cannot. But this is not the kind of scenario to get the veins bulging, to be grabbing somebody else by the shirt and be yelling. Like, duh. And I get it. This is talk of his passion. But like, I'm passionate about a lot of things. Whether it be art, whether it be content creation, whether it be food or anything like that. I'm passionate about a bunch of stuff. But like, this is not something that's worth exploding. Even college me. And college me was a darn fool. College me would not have snapped over something like this. So like, I don't know. Talk about, you gotta calm it down, broski. And we see that his homie, I guess he just misinterprets the whole thing that Talk was really mad about. Because he's like, oh, so you're jealous because I'm popular with the ladies. Is that it? I mean, that's probably a part of it. I don't know. Like, but then again, once again, these are college-age dudes. That usually is their top priority. Like, come on. But talk about, he does not let that slide, and he slobber knocks the taste out of his homie's mouth, which is crazy. Once again, dude, it's not that deep. It's not that deep, dog. But once again, it makes sense why talk about, and I'm critiquing him here, and I'm telling you how I feel and how I react to certain situations. But I say all this with foreknowledge of what is revealed later, and I get why talk about is so passionate about this. In retrospect, even if personally I would do no such thing, if I would do absolutely nothing near close to that, and we see that Takaba asks a pretty legitimate question. What the heck does that have to do with anything? I'm saying you should take comedy seriously, you idiot. And, you know, it's true. Once again, I believe that if you have passions, I don't know why, I feel tempted to put one of these on. If you have passions, you should always take them seriously. And, I mean, it depends on the level of passion, right? But still, I'd say take your passion seriously. Be proud of your passions. Go for it. Dedicate. Shinso Sasageo. Dedicate your heart, if you will. And that usually leads to better results. It really leads to more skill gain, and it leads to better understanding of your passion, a better understanding of yourself relative to your passion. And typically it'll lead to more success. The idiom, try, and try again, is true for a degree. You keep doing things, you keep practicing, you will get better. It happens. Like, a lot of people, friends, and even some people online ask me, Pencil, how'd you get good at drawing? And to that I say, I'm good at drawing. But, and I hate to say it, it sounds so annoying, and I used to hate when people told me this all the time, and I would ask them the same question, how'd you get good at drawing? You just gotta keep trying. You just gotta keep doing. And there'll be times where you just mess up. Like, I showed the sketchbook in the spoiler discussion, but unfortunately, a sketchbook. Actually, let me see. Which one of you shall be the example? But yeah, like, here, perfect. This is a sketchbook I specifically used for the channel. Like, what's a good draw? This one is one of my favorites I've ever done. And it's pretty simple. But like this, that's some time. That's like effort. If you were to take me back, heck, 3 years ago and ask me to draw this, I probably couldn't do it. I couldn't have drawn this. I couldn't have drawn any of these bad boys. Like, all of these images, all of various quality, admittedly. These are all at different times. Like, look at this, dog. I couldn't have done that. But it does take practice. It does take time. It does take dedication to your passion. It does take taking your passion seriously. But as serious as your passion should be, and as serious as you should make it, That doesn't mean you should hurt other people who do not take your passion as seriously as you do. And it also doesn't mean that you should get mad at other people for not being as passionate about your passion as you are. I have friends who could not care less about anime and manga. And I have friends who love anime and manga. I have friends who love anime and manga more than I do. So I know it sounds weird to say. Well, anime, maybe you guys probably can know at this point. I'm not much of an anime guy. But I know people are shocked. Like, what? Pencil has people he knows that are more passionate about manga than him? Yeah. They exist. And with that being the case, even with that, I don't get mad at my friends who don't care. I'm just like, yeah, sure. There are things that they care about that I could care less about. And that's okay. That's what makes humanity good. The diversity, the uniqueness of us. And thusly, I understand why Takaba's nettled, but dude, never give in to your base emotion, that base feeling of rage, that Hulk that rages through you. It's okay to feel that way. It's always okay to feel emotions, but you should not let your emotions override and harm other people. You shouldn't be slobber knocking your friends because they don't care about comedy. And we even see that his friend brings up a pretty good point, and it's a philosophy that I live by too. I keep giving him the surfer dude voice immediately. Doing comedy with you isn't fun at all. If we can't laugh at this stuff, why would the audience? It's true. It's true. And here's the thing, right? It is not just a comedy thing with this one. This is a thing that is generally true. If you don't enjoy something you're making, why would you expect other people to enjoy it? It's not necessarily a true thing. Like, I get it. Focus groups exist. I think it was the mangaka of Spy X Family who says he doesn't even like that series. Like, he legit does not like it. Or he or she. I'm not sure who. I don't have that mangaka's name memorized or anything. But I think there was an interview that came out about them where they were like, oh yeah, I literally don't even like this manga. I don't like any of the characters. I'm not personally attached to them. This is just stuff. I do it because I need to eat. I know there are a lot of people who do that. I do this because I need to eat. And that's fine. But if it's your passion, if it's something you're really down for, yeah. If you wouldn't enjoy it, why do you expect other people to? That's why I do content in the way that I do. Because I would watch my own content. I literally have to in order to edit my videos. And I need to watch my own content and edit it myself. So, like, I know that I enjoy the content that I do. That's why I make it. Do I think it's funny? Sometimes. Depends on the video. But I know I would watch it regardless. And that's why I'm okay with it. No matter how well it does, because I know I enjoy it. And heck, if one other person than me enjoys it, it makes me happy. It brings quite a smile to my face. I want an Infinity Gauntlet. I cannot afford an Infinity Gauntlet. But with that being the case, he brings up a good point. That idea of if you can't find it funny, who else would? If I don't, who will? Dragon Fit! Like, legitimately. I understand that point. And we see this is one of many points in Takaba's life where he really considered, why? Why did I become a comedian again? And we flash to a different point in time. Where this is in Takaba's life is unknown. It's likely post-college, though. And we see that he's actually looking over what is likely a sort of scorecard for his comedy. Like, maybe he ran a whole set and he has specific chunks of jokes, and he went through every bit, and then people gave a review, and he got some 4s, some 5s, which should be good. But then he had this one that was just a flat out 1. No one liked it, and the guy even says, "Got nauseous before the set even started. The end would be better than this." And I'm not talking about Sonic Frontiers, but I'm kind of talking about Sonic Frontiers. But with that being the case, we see that I'm not sure if this is his boss or somebody, but another person says, "Don't sweat it. Pigs will fly the day someone makes 100% of people in the audience laugh." In any case, I didn't hate your set. And it's true. Once again, I had to go back to the idea of no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody who doesn't like it. You could try and make the most perfect focus group tested, boiled down to the purest aspect, include every single thing that 9 out of 10 people would like. There's always going to be that one person. There's always going to be that one doctor, that one dentist that doesn't recommend that toothpaste, one doctor that doesn't recommend that medicine, one person who doesn't find something funny or doesn't find some art piece good. What's a good example? It's a famous art. somebody doesn't like the Mona Lisa. Somebody thinks the Mona Lisa is garbage. There are some people who look at modern art and see nothing but trash. Hi, I'm people. But like, legitimately, there are things where the difference in perspectives, despite the fact I believe, what's the percentage? We're like 97.8% similar to like everything in existence just because of how life itself works. Like we're like 97% banana. Like we're literally composed of pretty much the same stuff. But those slight differences in background, styles, history, humor, all that leads to those differences. And that's okay. If you let the fact that I didn't make one person enjoy this, or I didn't make one person like, I'll never get anywhere in life. You're always going to disappoint somebody. You're always going to make somebody annoyed. You're always going to do something to somebody. You just got to be able to take it in stride. And we see that Takaba started to. You can see that in this moment, while he's shocked and disappointed at his lack of absolute success, he says, yeah, but he's sweating. And then he's getting tormented by Kenjaku all over again. And he, once again, this is another point in his life where he questions, why did I become a comedian again? And we see, I don't think this is his same friend from college. I think this is somebody else. But the person he's working with says, you should disband. And Takaba, now presumably very close to the time and period in his life that we see him in the modern narrative, aka his 30s, he says, wait, let's just give it one last shot. And his partner asks, how many more times can we just give it one last shot? We're already in our 30s. People our age have already climbed the corporate ladder. They have wives and kids they're providing for. And here we are, dressing with swans. And admittedly, this is funny. So I burned out most of my laughter at this in like the live reaction. Why is Takaba, has he just always been buff? Like, I thought that was maybe like a cursed energy. No, bro's always just been well built. Like, bro's shoulders look good. He's got muscle definition on his arms. His pectorals look great. Like, I bet his back is muscle. Like, dude is kind of just built. Maybe he picked the wrong profession. Maybe he should have been a bodybuilder. Like, bro just, he's natural. Well, maybe not naturally. Maybe he does just work out a bunch, but he's pretty hedged. And obviously, we see that Taka, I mean, he's trying. And I give credit, right? Especially as a person who makes content on the internet, it is sort of just like a bang your head against the wall approach. I don't know comedy because I'm not a comedian, nor do I ever plan to be. But with that being the case, I feel like comedy should be similar to YouTube in the sense that you kind of don't know if what you do works. There are some times where you post something and you don't expect it to do good, and then it suddenly blows up. That's happened to me before. And simultaneously, there are times where you put a whole bunch of work into something, you dedicate hours upon hours, you put your heart, soul, sweat, tears, anything into it, and then it bombs. Like, it's kind of just a thing that happens. You don't really know. And thusly, I kind of understand Takaba's want to just keep just bang the head against the wall until hopefully something sticks. Because sometimes that's all you feel like you can do. And it leads to things like this. It leads to weird extrapolations of stuff. And heck, I can kind of agree. Not only talk about he doesn't seem to get success off of this strange thing, but for me, I know for an actual factual that a lot of the series that I consistently cover today, I wouldn't have covered if I didn't branch out or do something strange. I wouldn't be covering JJK if I didn't branch out to JJK because someone recommended it to me. I was like, hey, you could cover this. I think you would enjoy covering this, and I did. So you do have to try. You do have to experiment, unless you find something successful. If you find something successful and you're passionate about it and it's working, then I say stick to that. Like, yeah, if you are making a certain type of content, or you're making a certain type of art, or you're doing a certain thing in your very specific field, whether it be being a doctor, being a nurse, being a combatant, anything like that, if you find something that works and you're cool with it, then stick with it. There's no need to branch out. But in the idea, I understand how Takaba went down the rabbit hole and got to this point, essentially. Sure, it doesn't seem absolutely insane, absolutely ludicrous that he somehow decided that, yes, mystical, magical swan kings protruding from you know exactly where, this is how I want to build my comedy legacy. Yeah, is it crazy? It is. But once again, I can kind of see it happening like that. And we see the question just keeps coming, though. And this is something that plagues a lot of my own friends. Because I am friends with a couple content creators, and I'm friends with people who want to be content creators. But one of them consistently tells me this: dude, I just couldn't do it. And I always ask him, tell me why. Yeah, tell me why. Because sometimes they give me a different answer, but usually the answer is this: I don't know how many videos I'm gonna have to post until someone actually notices. I don't know how much effort I'm gonna have to put in for no reward. I don't know this, that, or the other thing. And it's true. Whether it be in comedy, whether it be, heck, this isn't even something that is listed to comedy or content creation or anything like that. That's to do with other people. Just getting a job. You don't know how long it's going to take for you to actually get it. Not just get your resume sent in, have them look at your resume, have them call you in for an interview, go through the interview process, and you actually get chosen. The levels to that are endless, no matter what you do. It's just ever complicated. That's just life. You never know how much longer it's going to take till you see success. If you ever see success, there's some things where you just got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. But you do, at least for me, on a passion front, you want to keep banging away at it. Because if you like it, then it's not necessarily work. I like content creation. Thusly, no matter, I would still bang, I'm going to bang at that wall endlessly because I enjoy it. It's fun for me. But for Takaba, I understand. You hit your mid-30s, you still haven't achieved any success. You've been working at this for what's soon to be revealed his entire life. And he's working at it for a very different reason than I work for content creation, and I work at my content creation goals. This is not just a means of making bread, but we're going to find out what this is truly a means for. Something that is hard to do, something that I think all humans innately want to do, but it's something that is as ever complicated as anything else in this big, beautiful world we call our own. How much longer, huh? I'd say next stop, C1, which is a contest to decide the best comedy duo in Japan. But here I am, as a lone wolf comic, yet again. I wish I could be a regular on a sketch show or something. Something like an MC on an idol show could be good too. Comedy superfans like me know that work is often looked down upon. But it's a pretty solid gig. You need a partner, you get to test your skills as a comic by making girls who are complete amateurs seem interesting. And those girls will someday show up on variety shows and that pipeline of going down where like, I didn't succeed here, but maybe I can succeed here and succeed here and succeed here. You can definitely tell Takaba he's just been going through it. Going through that means of like, oh no, I'm failing here, I'm failing here, I'm failing here. And we saw his breaking point last chapter, which I still need to review, so give me some time and I'll have that reviewed as well. But with that being the case, we see that Takaba's worried that eventually, as you can see, the timer for his ramen starts at 3 minutes and then it ends, because once again, we're talking about how much longer. He's worried that one day, after all this time, he'll told every joke he possibly can and it still won't end in success. He still won't be funny. He still won't achieve connection. He still won't be able to do anything. That's a very realistic thing, right? I know this seems like this stretch of the manga. I've seen the fan base. Heck, I was even part of it a little bit. Well, not even a little bit. A lot of it when I was doing the spoiler session for 240. A lot of people could not care less about this characterization for a character they could not care less about. And hey, I get it. That chapter where we got all of Panda's backstory, I could not care less about that filthy, stupid, disgusting, nasty waste of space and honestly a blight on the series and a blight on my life and ultimately the most disgusting fictional thing to ever exist that if it were to ever manifest in front of me, every single Keyblade would manifest simultaneously within my hand as I entered not final form, not ultimate form, but ultimate final form and proceeded to hit that man with the most powerful magical spell that I would magically be able to muster on the spot. I despise Panda with every fiber of my being. So trust me, I understand not caring about Takaba and his characterization. But on a character writing front, I actually really like this chapter. I think it's fantastic. And once again, we dive deeper into this idea of why did I become a comedian again? Why should I do this? And we flash back to an earlier point in the chapter where Takaba says, I'm saying we should take comedy seriously. And we finally get context for this passion of Takaba's. We finally get to understand it. Oh, right. I was the kind of serious kid who was always cold towards others. It's only natural that most kids didn't like me. I was lonely, and I wanted to change that about myself. I wanted to put all my efforts towards joking. I made them laugh. I made them realize I wasn't a bad guy. It made me so happy. I made more and more friends. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. I say it all the time, and you will hear me say it again. Humans are fundamental. Break us down to our fundamental aspects. We are social creatures. There are some people who do like being alone. Heck, I'm a guy who's, admittedly, if you probably couldn't tell, I am mostly extroverted, but I have my introverted moments where it's just like, man, I just love the vibe, man. I just love the solo hustle. Like, I get both sides, but I still think human beings are wired for connection. Ultimately, we cannot achieve the ultimate life goal of more humans without human connection. And ultimately, that desire for connection being expressed through comedy is a common thing. A lot of the funniest people feel lonely. They feel abandoned because they're trying to connect. They're trying to reach. In a similar vein, it feels so weird tying this back into Sukuna and Gojo and Kashimo, but ultimately, Gojo tried to reach Sukuna through his strength, through his power, through his honed abilities, his toned flesh, and the techniques he had honed for decades. 2 of them, but still, decades. Or over a decade. And Kashimo tried to reach others through finding an equal, something that was also impossible. Takaba, the next honored one, he tried to reach out and connect with people, achieve that basic human desire for connection through comedy. But ultimately, it seems like Takaba made a little mistake. Instead of laughing with people, it seems like he was laughed at. And if that, it didn't last. Because he says here, I made more and more friends, but never a partner. Now, this could be interpreted in multiple ways. A partner could be like a romantic partner, and obviously that's true. There's a struggle. Shout out to all the people who are hunting. They be like that when they be like that, especially when they be like that. It'll happen one day. Or if you don't want it, you don't want it, which is also fine. But with that being the case, a partner can also just be whom you can call up at any time. That person where you can hit with the bring, and there's a 99.9% chance they'll pick up and you can talk for hours. A person who isn't just like a glimpse or a blink in your life, someone that will be there likely to the end of time. Or at least the end of your time. We ain't making it to see the heat end of the universe, as far as I know. Unless someone discovers immortality, let me know about that. Let me know if it's multiple people. I don't want to if it's just for me, because that'd be dark. But with that being the case, that desire for connection is something that I understand. Luckily enough, I do have a homie that no matter what, three homies, but one in particular that is like no matter what, no matter when, bring. I know I can call him up and we can do song. But with that being the case, I also understand the inverse problem. Takaba made more and more friends, but as we find out, he still felt lonely. He still felt alone. He was alone in a room full of people. And it may have been because he was the joke instead of making jokes. But it's also for the fact that a lot of times in life, you meet people due to specific circumstances. You become friends with people in school because you're sat next to them. Heck, that's how I met my best friend. I was just sat next to him. Jeez, I'm old. I don't even want to say how long ago. Let's just say it's been a hot minute since I met that guy. But we were just sat next to each other. But that happens. Time progresses and you meet those people that you are friends with and you have a fantastic time together. But once that commonality, whether it be school, whether it be work, whether it be something where you are essentially legally obligated to meet every single day, all those people will fall away because they're moving to a different state, or you aren't going to the same college, or aren't working in the same place anymore. And those friendships, if not actively attempted to be maintained, are left behind. And even worse, sometimes those people will intentionally leave you behind because they never actually liked you. They wanted to use you for whatever. Sometimes it can be your physical skill. Sometimes it can be your mental skill. Sometimes it can be because you're literally the joke. And you can see Takaba blankly ended up with the last one, as he's alone in a rundown apartment, sad and by himself. And you see that he's watching something on TV. Man, I can't keep going to Manzai with you. What? Are you for real? You mean that? If I were serious, I wouldn't be having this much fun. And we see Takaba, once again, slurping on his instant ramen, being like, must be nice. And no, this is very specifically in reference to comedy, as he says, as the next line from the TV is, next up on stage. And you see Takaba's eyes burgeon with tears as he realizes that that's not him. And at this rate, it'll never be him. He'll never be the person called up next. He'll never be the comic that everyone knows and loves. He'll just be the person watching behind the screen, eternally locked away. And we see Takaba say, I want to get to know people to know me better. If they knew me better, then they'd think I'm funny. And then I wouldn't be so lonely. And then we get the truest introspection, a question that I always wondered what I would do. Like, if I really could go back in time, back to reality, and not be that guy with a pencil and go meet that, well, be that guy with a pencil and go meet that boy with a pencil way back when. I wonder what I would tell him. I just tell him to keep it pushing. I tell him to keep it pushing. It'd be like that when it'd be like that, especially when it'd be like that. And therapy is expensive, but looking in the mirror and telling yourself that it's okay is free. Like, I tell him those three things and keep it pushing. But obviously, there's like things that be like, don't do that. Then again, I feel like a lot of the mistakes that we make in life fundamentally form us. And I don't think, like, if I were to remove certain canon events from my timeline, to quote Miguel from Across the Spider-Verse, if I were to remove certain canon events, I don't think I'd be the person I am. There's one particular canon event, I've mentioned it before, it's a discussion I had about the Akatsuki versus the Seven Deadly Sins years ago at this point. I think it's been like 5 years. I think it's been literally half a decade. I have with a friend. If I did not have that conversation with them, this channel would not exist. There are little things. So I would like to speak with my past self just to get a comprehensive view of my perspective from back then and see what their future, if I remember things correctly, because my memory's garbage. So I want to see what they think and sound like and talk like, but I want my younger me's memories wiped immediately, because I do think I kind of need to walk down the path I walked down. And we see Takaba's having this moment. I do like the parallels that this shirt is being mirrored here in Takaba's current outfit. And his young self asks, what even is taking comedy seriously? Everyone wants to see the goofy me, right? And it's true. That's how a lot of people interpret it. That, oh, as long as I'm a joke, then I'm funny, right? And I mean, it works to certain degrees. But I don't know. That's such a complicated topic, and I don't necessarily know enough about comedy to really go into it. But with that being the case, we see Takaba explains, no, actually, I don't think that's what's important. That's all off-stage business. It has nothing to do with the audience. And it's true. The idea of separating yourself from your work. I'd say, I don't necessarily do that too much. Like, shock horror, the person you see talking to you on the camera is just me, but like in a captured, compressed video format uploaded to a platform. That is just me. But the you that is at work or in school or anywhere else isn't necessarily the true you. Personally, I don't even fully understand the true me. If I were to look in the mirror and be like, who's that man right there? I'd be like, that's that guy with the pencil, but I don't know the full inner machinations of my own mind. And thusly, that separation between oneself and how they present themselves is never ending. And we see Takaba acknowledge this, but then it leads to the internal question, right? If you can't connect with people through your work, if you can't use your passion to form better bonds and understanding of not just yourself, not just yourself, but also other individuals, which I even try to do through my content. I try to develop my own understanding and thoughts about certain things through verbal discussion with y'all, and I read your comments every single time to see if I can get your perspective and see how it manipulates my perspective, and we go back and forth endlessly until the end of the universe. But of course, it leads to the natural question, well, is that fun? And if you're not having fun, why are you doing comedy in the first place? And that's important. If you're not enjoying yourself, why are you doing it in the first place? And we see that Takaba says, I became a comedian because I wanted everyone to get to know me better. And that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting way to do it, but it is a way that is done. A way where people always attempt to connect through humor through various means. And we see that ultimately Takaba realizes the hypocrisy in last chapter. He says, and yet I went and said all that. I don't care if you don't think it's funny, as long as everyone else does. He was cutting off one of the potential connections he could have made. He was doing that. And we see that he realized that ultimately by doing that, he's forsaking the original reason he became a comedian in the first place, to connect with as many people as possible. And by excluding someone from that connection, by not caring about how they feel, he ultimately is failing at his original dream. And he realizes this. I think what Ken-san, which is hilarious, I love that he calls Kenjaku Ken-san. I don't know, I say we, but I'm speaking French right now. I call him Kenny, because I don't know, the Kenpachi, I call Kenpachi Kenny, I call Kenny, I call Kenjaku Kenny, like, I don't know why, it's just a simpler name. But Ken-san, haven't heard that one. Nice Takaba. I think what Ken-san said is completely correct. Even still, he wasn't trying to tell me to give up. Which, who knows, maybe he was. He was trying to gaslight Shitaka. But we see pigs will fly the day someone makes 100% of the audience laugh. Takaba reveals that I wanted to affirm myself. I took his words in a way that worked for me and I gave up. I wasn't confronting the laughs head on. Somewhere along the way, I stopped taking comedy seriously because I didn't want to get hurt. And that's I feel so weird. I keep saying, I understand it, but not entirely. But this is the case where I do understand, right? There's always, whether it be platonically, romantically, or just in general, extending yourself to people is scary. It's a hard thing to do. Putting yourself out there at all is difficult. Heck, I know extroverts who are way more extrovert than me who struggle in sharing certain things and struggle just even being extrovert in certain scenarios because there is that fear, that constant fear of rejection. What if they say no? What if they don't like it? What if this? What if that? And it is hard. Like the way I get past it, the way I'm able to just post what I post and do what I do just in life, online, or anything, is like, hey, be like that when it be like that. But that's a mentality that I've fostered over many years of living. But that fear is a valid thing. It's something that sinks within us all. And I understand how Takaba feels that way, that brokenness within him. But ultimately, this retrospective and this revelation allows Takaba to realize that ultimately his admittance of that he didn't actually really care, broke something. It broke his goal. And now he wants to fix that. And as Kenny charges in, looking devious as always, ready to get another lick in, he sees something beautiful. Takaba, in the most gorgeous dogeza that he's ever seen. What's still a form? Oh, shoot. What's still a form? True prostration. It took me until my late 20s to reach such a level. And I'm not sure if that's like Takaba manipulating his thoughts or if Kenny actually just has the golden ratio level of prostration. Is that how Jin made Itadori with Kenny? No. No, but hey, the golden ratio. Shouts to that. Shouts to my JoJo fans out there. Did you read Steel Ball Run? Read it. It's a fantastic manga. I say as a person who hasn't read a single part of JoJo. But with that being the case, we see that Kenny realizes, hold on, wait a minute. I shouldn't be thinking about the beautiful Dokesa I have. What am I saying? And Takaba reveals that he is sorry. I lied to you. I don't think it's fine that you don't find it funny, even if everyone else does. I just didn't want to get hurt. I put you down to protect myself. Even if 99 out of 100 people are laughing, I still won't be satisfied. I don't care if I'm stubborn. I want to make every last person laugh, which is why I'll make you laugh so hard you puke up your guts. That's my brand of comedy. Takaba has dedicated his heart once again. He has realized the truth of his dream and how he had softly abandoned it and why he must never do that again. And we see that Kenny grins as he is now excited. Waku waku indeed, Kenjaku. Waku waku. Is that so? Let's see you try. Get those big, big laughs. A perfect 100. So, we are on break next week. And if you couldn't tell by my extensive discussion of this chapter, my constant references to other things and how I felt, I think this chapter is fantastic on a character front. I think it's wonderful, and thusly I do believe it's worthy. Once again, it is mostly a character writing chapter. It's a lot of flashback. It's for a character that a lot of people don't care about. It's for a character that I particularly don't care about. I like Takaba generally, but I mainly want him to start the merger already. That's the main thing I really want from Takaba. But still, I'm glad Gege's taking his time. I'm glad that he's slowing down. And then I am hoping that if Takaba gets this, then our remaining cast can get something similar. They can get something of this caliber where they're able to explore themselves, go through it, develop properly as characters, and not simply develop through trauma, but self-reflection and understanding. I hope we get more of that. However, if you somehow made it all the way to the end of this video, and I'm going to be really shocked how many people make it all the way to the end of this one, because this is a chapter that I know, proportionate to community interest and how long I've talked about it, those ratios, they ain't golden. They don't line up at all. But with that being the case, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave new faith in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell, the little ding-a-ling down there. Not like that. Not that. Whatever. Hit the little notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon. Oh, that was a mistake. I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos. Come here! Come here! Stop fighting! Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the 32-minute live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Bull 4765. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Winter, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gem Lord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give a hefty old thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Idem Okami. I'd like to give another final thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And a final scrumdiddlyumptious gargantuan thank you to our $25 patrons, Igneal and Calvin Elder.